Hello and welcome to the introductory video of Senior Project Website version 6. For this version, the team consists of developers Hernan Ceylan and Raul Carvajal, and mentor and product owner Masoud Sajadi. For this video, I will explain what Senior Project Website is, as well as what development changes the website has gone through from the previous version to the new one. The Senior Project class is a course where students will use their knowledge obtained from the spectrum of their computer science courses. Students will work on a faculty-supervised project which may consist of teams up to 5 members to develop solutions to real-life problems. The Senior Project website was developed as a tool that would facilitate the management of students and projects for the professor in charge. Students will be assigned to a project and match their most valued skills to the project in need of development. The Senior Project website also allows product owners to propose their product projects for completion. The Senior Project website has a convenient graphical user interface, a secure user authentication system, and a matchmaking system that will ease the process of setting up teams for each project. It was developed with PHP using the View Model Controller architecture. Up until now, the way the professor in charge of the Senior Project website used the website was able to manage users and update their information, as well as match them to a project using the matchmaking algorithm and seeing the results in the match finalization page. The problem was that updating users was repetitive and time-consuming as a task. Also, the head professor was unable to clearly see in the user management page which students were in need to complete their initial task, which includes synchronizing their LinkedIn account, adding skills to their Senior Project website profile, and ranking the required minimum of 5 projects. For the match finalization page, there were missing features such as seeing the student interest or skill set to match them to a specific project. Students will be automatically matched to a project based on the project ranking and skill set. The new version of the website, we introduced a more flexible way to manage users as well as design a convenient color-coded user interface for the match finalization page. The head professor will now be able to update users more efficiently using the user management system that facilitates the information update of users. The head professor will also be able to see how the matchmaking algorithm has matched students to projects based on skill and interest of students, as well as the skill set the project needs. This is the Gantt chart for our project that outlines the project management plan. At the beginning during May, we completed the preparation task that included the creation of a Senior Project website account and ranking the proposed projects. Then, after being set to a project, we spent the rest of the week in learning the different software needed to use to begin development of the project to complete the requirement analysis. Shortly after, we set up the development environment to make sure the team was set to begin creating user stories and continue in developing the project. After the first week, we began in Sprint 1, where we studied the project closely to see what parts the website was going to be developed. In Sprint 2, we developed the feature where Professor will be able to check for initial tasks as well as creating the new filters. Also, we developed a new user interface of the match finalization page, as well as getting the information of both the student and the project. In Sprint 3, we focused on improving the user update system by implementing a user selection system and highlighting users whose information has been changed. There was also further development on match finalization user interface, where the head professor will be able to see the users as well as organizing the view. In Sprint 4, we created a color-coded user interface on the match finalization page, as well as allowing the professor to manage students more efficiently with added buttons and icons that will allow the head professor to activate, deactivate, or update single or selected users. In Sprint 5, we developed the view of the user management page and the match finalization view. Also, we implemented the feature of deleting selected users. On the last week of the semester, we prepare all documentation and videos needed before the day of the showcase. This is a user story that will allow the head professor to save selected users. In this user story, the head professor wants to be able to save students who have been modified and only save those students who have been selected with a checkbox. This is a user story that will display student information when the mouse is hovered over the name of the student. In this user story, the head professor wants to see the skill set of the student as well as the interest of the student when hovering on its respective area. Here are our use case diagrams for the use cases that we have created. This is our sequence diagram for the save and update feature for selected users. And this is our sequence diagram for the mouse hover feature for student info. Senior Project website is developed using the three-tier model view controller architecture, implemented using CodeIgniter framework, which is a common convenient framework for the development of web-based applications. In here, I would like to state the software and hardware requirement for the system. For the software, we have PHP 5.1, MySQL 5, Apache Tomcat 2.2, Java 7, and Windows operating system. For hardware, we have CPU with 2 GHz clock speed, 2 GB of RAM memory, and 20 GB of disk storage size. The persistent data did not change with respect to the one found in Senior Project website version 5, although some modifications were made to pull more data from the database to ensure user management usability. No new tables were added, and all the persistent data remained the same, containing tables for ranks, projects, skills, interests, etc. Security and privacy remained the same as Senior Project website version 5, having one-way password and session encryption. This is our class diagram that represents the functions of existing classes. No new functions were added. Instead, some were modified to obtain the correct information and be able to support the functionality and implementation mentioned before in the project management. Here is the detailed main algorithm used for the user management that will aid in getting all user information and displayed in the user management page. And here are the test suites for the use cases that we mentioned earlier. For these use cases, I will run an automated test using Selenium. And here is the demo of our development. After the head professor logs in, he can navigate to the Admin tab and click the All Users button to navigate to the user management page. In this page, the professor can filter users by using the text boxes or any of the drop-down menu options available. The page will show student initial tasks on the columns linked in and ranks. When tasks still need completion, the page will display No. Hovering over the No word will display what the user is missing so the professor knows what the user needs to do. When changes are made in user data, the system will highlight that row to indicate unsaved changes. It will also check the corresponding checkbox. When at least one checkbox is checked, the buttons will activate. When clicking Save, the head professor must confirm by clicking OK on the pop-up window. This can also quickly be done by clicking on the Save icon located at the right of the respective row where the change was made. To quickly change the status of a user, use the traffic light icon on the right of the respective row. Clicking on each light has its own function. Red will deactivate the user, green will activate it, and the yellow will make the user pending. This can also be done on multiple users by using the checkboxes and clicking on the Activate and Deactivate buttons. If the head professor tries to refresh or navigate away from the page, the system will warn the user of unsaved changes and ask if the head professor wants to continue and discard changes or cancel and stay on page. For the Match Finalization user interface, the professor must navigate to the Match tab, click on Run Match, and click on Run Automatic VIP Matching. Continue the matching by scrolling down and clicking on Continue Match Phase 1, then on Continue Match Phase 2, then on Go to Match Finalization. In this page, the professor should see the color-coded user interface of the students and projects. The Unmatched Student column has the name of the students and their skill set and interest. Clicking on the blue button will display their information in detail, whereas clicking on the red buttons will display the information in separate popovers. The Projects Not Filled column indicates projects that still need students. The blue button contains a full description of the project, and the red button each has a description in separate popovers. This is also the same for the Projects Filled column, where the project in here already has enough students. Each of the buttons has a legend that tells the professor what each color represents. Once satisfied, the professor can click on Save Match Configuration. The matching will be saved to the database. End of introduction video.